Hey everyone, today we're doing lesson 7. This is going to be the last lesson that we have before a quiz, and it's just kind of combining everything we've learned about integers and rational numbers, adding and subtracting, and we're going to use that to solve some problems today. So take a look at our learning goals, being able to find the difference. Remember, the difference is the answer to a subtraction problem, being able to subtract positive and negative numbers, and then solve problems with addition and subtraction. For our first question, we've got a coordinate grid here. We've got 4 points shown here across the top. It says plot these points on the coordinate grid. So let's go ahead and start with that. Remember, coordinate grid points are always listed in alphabetical order, X and then Y. And they labeled for us the X-axis, the horizontal axis, and the Y-axis. So our first point here, point A, is at 5, 4. 5 on the X-axis, 4 on the Y-axis. So we'll go to 5 on the X, 4 on the Y, and we will put point A. And I think it's important to label it so that we can just easily refer back to it. Point B is 5 and negative 2. So on our coordinate grid here, we have 4 different quadrants. Some of these are negative. We don't normally use those in our graphing, but today we are. So 5 and negative 2. I'll go to 5 on the x-axis. Then I'm going to go down to negative 2 on the y-axis for point B. C is both negative coordinates, negative 3 and negative 2, which would be here. And D is negative 3 and 4, point D. All right, first question says, what shape is made if you connect the dots in order? So A, B, C, D. Well, in order, A, B, C, D, we have a rectangle. What are the side lengths of figure A, B, C, D? Well, being a rectangle, we only have 2 different side lengths. And we can go ahead and just count the grids. If we want to do that quickly, we've got 6 going vertically, and we've got 8 going horizontally. So 6 by 8 is the size of that rectangle. Question 3 wants to know what's the difference between the x-coordinates of B and C. So let's write those, let's use a different color here. So B was 5, negative 2 as that ordered pair. C was negative 3, negative 2. And when it says what's the difference between the x-coordinates are the first value in our ordered pair there. And if we go in the order that it's listed, the difference between B and C, we're going from 5 to negative 3. The difference is subtraction, so we're really creating an expression here. We're going to take 5 minus negative 3, and that negative 3 should be in parentheses. 5 minus negative 3. Well, to find the difference, we're going to think of this as adding the opposite. Now, really, we could just count it because it's on this grid, but this is a good connection to what we're doing. 5 minus negative 3 is like 5 plus 3, and that's where we get our difference of 8. And you can see if we go from here to here, we'd have a difference of 8. Now, if we go the other way, what's the difference between the x-coordinates of C and B? We're going to reverse this subtraction problem. Remember, yesterday we talked about what happens if you reverse a subtraction problem. We get the opposite amount. So even without thinking, I know my answer is going to be negative 8, and that's just sending us different directions. All right, lastly, how do the differences of the coordinates relate to the distances between the points? Well, for differences, we have our two differences here, and these were opposite numbers. The distance doesn't really change. The distance between these 2 points stays the same because it's the side of a rectangle. That's always going to be 8. So the distance is a positive distance. Distance is positive. It's also the absolute value of those differences. We haven't talked about absolute value recently, but absolute value is how far away a number is from 0. Picturing it on a number line, it doesn't matter if we're going in the positive direction or the negative. We're only looking for how far it is from 0. Both of these numbers are 8 away from 0. So it's always a positive amount. All right, let's continue. Our next question talks about a coffee shop. Here are some record keeping from a coffee shop about their paper cups. Cups are delivered 2,000 at a time. So first, it says explain what a positive and negative number means in this situation. Let's look here. We've got all the days of the week listed, and then we have change, positive and negative. So this is the change in the amount of cups that the coffee shop has each day. Well, that would mean that a positive change is that there's been a delivery. Cups have been brought into the coffee shop. So positive means delivery, an increase in the amount of cups, and a negative, so that's positive here. A negative would mean that cups went out. And there's only a couple of ways a cup will leave a restaurant. It's either been purchased or it's been thrown away. But we'll say that those have been purchases. And that's going to decrease the amount of cups that are there. The second question says, how many paper cups are left at the end of the week? So notice this is only describing how it's changed for the day. It's not like a lot of the tables we've looked at recently. It's not also giving us a running total or like an account balance if we were talking about a bank account. So if that's the case, we need to look at how many cups have been brought in, how many cups have been sold, and come up with a total here at the end. So we could combine the two positive amounts to tell us how many were brought in for that week. And if we combine 2,000 and 1,719, we'll have the total that were brought in. So 3,719 cups. Now what we need to do is we need to combine all of the negative amounts. Oops. The negative amounts were the cups that were sold, and since they're all negatives, I really just need to combine all of these together to get a total amount of negative cups. So I'm going to just line these up. I'm going to write them as positive numbers. And 782. I'm going to add those up and get a total of 1,390 cups. But these were all negative. So I need to remember to mark that as negative. These were all the cups sold in a week. All right, then we just need to combine. So we need to combine the cups that were brought in with the cups that were sold. We could add this amount to this amount, a positive amount to a negative amount, or we could just subtract the cups that were sold. But either way that we do it, we'll end up with a cups left at the end of the week of 2,329. Now it asks, how many cups do you think were used on Thursday? Now, if you noticed, we said at the beginning, cups were delivered 2,000 at a time. That's why on Monday, 2,000 cups were brought in. And it seems they didn't sell any coffee that day because they didn't lose any cups. It also seems like they're closed here on Sunday because there's no cups being added or taken away. And Thursday, they added an amount, but they didn't add the full amount that were delivered because they sold some of those cups. So really what we need to do is take the 2,000 that were delivered, remove some amount to get what the actual change in the cups were for that day. All right, we can rearrange that problem. We could actually rearrange it to subtract this from the delivery amount, and that would tell us that 281 cups were used on Thursday. Okay, finally, if you turn to the back of your sheet, there are multiple ways to practice here with adding and subtracting rational numbers. What I wanted to point out to you, because I think by now you should have a pretty good understanding of that, was just a basic way of looking at some of these problems with 3 integers in them. So one thing to review is how order of operations works. We're dealing with addition and subtraction, and that's one of the last steps in order of operations. And if you remember, order or addition and subtraction have to be done in order from left to right. So it is not true that we would do all the addition first and then the subtraction, or vice versa. We just work, just like we would read it as a sentence, we work from the left to the right. So when we have a mixture, like this example here, where we have addition first and then subtraction, the only reason we would do addition first is because we're going from the left to the right. Okay? Now, with subtraction, the order that subtraction happens is important. So we're going, again, left to right. If we worked on example B here, we have 2 subtraction problems happening. We're taking 3 minus 3 first because that's here on the left side of the expression. 3 minus 3 is 0. So I'm going to take that new amount to do the second problem, and 0 minus 7 is negative 7. The same idea would work here with F. I'm going to do the first problem on the left here because it's on the left. I'm working left to right. Doesn't matter that addition is first before subtraction. So I need to combine 7 and negative 8. Well, 7 and negative 8 equals negative 1. And then I'm going to subtract 5, which is the second part of the expression. So now I'm solving negative 1 minus 5 to get negative 6. Please keep that in mind while you're going through these. I know we haven't really done many with 3 numbers in them. Just, it's only addition and subtraction. We always work left to right in solving that. So solve the expression to the left before including the part on the right, and that will work for all of these. All right, if you have any questions, please get on Zoom and ask for help, and make sure to get your practice problems done for lesson 7 before you do our upcoming quiz. Everybody have a great day.